And we're back. Sorry about that, y'all. Technical difficulties. What I was talking about was that I had an amazing call this morning with someone I work with, and I was talking about how much it really lifted me up and filled my spirits and felt really, really amazing, and I love that. But I was talking about how I recognize that it's important for us to be aware and mindful to not deeply identify with the things that we do and how they fill us up, meaning the things outside of ourselves, as a form of really leaning on for our sense of value and purpose and wealth, that has to come from within, so that as our landscape around us changes, we still hold a sense of value. So I've learned that a lot in my work as a coach, and that I deeply love what I do. In fact, I feel very purpose driven in what I do, and I do gain a lot of appreciation and a sense of worthiness from what I do. But I'm always mindful, or do my best to be mindful of where it comes from, and it comes from within me. That regardless of the feedback I get from outside of me, however, good or not attacking or uncomfortable, we'll put that, because even people have feedback for me that's maybe uncomfortable, but it's really good for me. And so differentiating there, it's all valuable, and not to place so much weight on any of it, so that we don't shatter when it's one way or the other, so that we're not lifted up so high and brought down so far. Just something to share. But such a really beautiful morning and some really profound lessons for me. But I want to talk today about surrender. And so I put as our title, Hands Up, I Surrender. And it's funny because when I think of that, I think of police, right? Like, hands up, I surrender. Like, this is a vulnerable space to be. This is a very vulnerable space to be, kind of with our hands open. And I think that there's so much value in that. Maybe not so much the part where you've got police pointing a gun at you. That's not maybe the best and safest place to be, albeit a very vulnerable one. I think in our lives, learning to do that. I think there is a very important balance to be had in surrendering and taking control of things. It's an interesting topic, because I think we're all control freaks to varying degrees, some of us more so than others, but I definitely think that we are all control freaks. We all want to have control of things, because I think it is innate that we think that if I have control of something and I get to dictate how it goes, it's definitely going to be better. We're quite egotistical little beings, aren't we? And I do think that. I think that we all have this sense that if I do it, it's going to be done better. What I've come to learn in knowing that we all have different strengths and gifts is that many hands make light work, and many minds make a whole lot of creative growth. And I think that's really important. So, balancing surrender and control. The reality is there are things that we do have control of. We have control over the decisions that we make. To a degree, even one could actually argue a bit about there being some of us who are really, really conditioned. And this is where this term of free will comes up. I recognize that I'm about to journey off into many black holes and things, so I'm going to be careful to really rein it back in. But free will is the idea that we have the ability to choose what we want. I would argue even against that sometimes, and this would be a very long debate perhaps with some, that not everybody has it, even though we say everybody has free will. And I'm not just talking about those of us who live in a free market or a free country. I'm talking about there are people held captive by their patterns and their belief systems that are so deep, and by their addictions and things, and everybody will say they have free will. Well, they're choosing it. And to a degree, I accept that argument. And to another degree, maybe even perhaps because I've been in it or seen people who are in it so deeply, I think that there is some truth to that, but also some not. I think some of us become such a slave to these patterns that It's very difficult to think that somebody so deeply entrenched inside of something that has a hold of them has a sense of free will. I would bet you most anyone inside of that space would argue that they didn't have a sense of free will. Not meaning they don't have choice. They have to choose to get out of that space. I understand that. But just to really understand how deep this can go into our psyche. Either way, there is a sense for most of us of free will. How much we exercise that depends upon whether or not we really do accept responsibility for our decisions and our choices and our thoughts and the beliefs that we have. And it's a journey to get to that space. It's a journey to venture backwards into understanding all the way at the level of our beliefs and our values, which create and dictate everything that we do and therefore all of the outcomes that we have. I think it's important that we understand that beginning that journey and getting to that space is important. So what I will say about the balance and control and surrender is this. There are things that we do have control over. Our thoughts, let me adjust this a little bit. And hopefully that keeps my sunshade out of your way. I think that'll do it. The balance and control and surrender. I have control over what I choose. I have control over what I choose because I have control over my behaviors. I have control over my behaviors because I have control over my feelings and my thoughts. Now you can stop right there and say, but what if I don't? Well, then I would argue you're not really operating out of free will because you are allowing your emotions and your thoughts and your feelings to dictate your life. And this is why it's important for us. But here's the surrender element. We may have control over those things, but we don't have control over the outcomes. And we don't have control over what other people do. There is a massive element of surrender that we have to accept is a part of life. That element that I may be able to do everything on my part. I'll use relationships as an example because I think for most of us we can relate on some level to this. That inside of a relationship, I can control what I choose to do. I cannot control what my partner does. No matter what I say or do, no matter how convincing I am, no matter the behaviors that I choose in one direction, I cannot control what my partner does. And in that way, we have to surrender. And this is where surrender becomes deeply important. Surrender and understanding the idea of surrender in your own life comes from understanding that we have to let go of the need to control everything. And in fact, when we do have so much more freedom because we're not worrying about things outside of our control. And when we do that, when we do worry about that, when we place so much energy and effort in that direction, we take away from the focus on the things that we can change and be a part of transforming. And I think that's unfortunately a very common practice, is we lose sight of really focusing on what we can change within ourselves, and we start focusing on others. And I think that happens for one of a couple of reasons. One, I think it happens because it's much easier to focus on other people, and it gives us a place to point fingers and place blame. Then we don't have to pay attention here. And two, I think that it's easier also because then we don't surrender at all. Then we're so busy trying to grab everything in our lives. And again, if it is innate to us that we have a sense within ourselves, and this is maybe the essence of our ego, that I can do it better and I know better for me. I would even agree that there are times when I'm in an unhealthy state that I probably don't know what's best for me. And we have to be humble and surrender and maybe accept that the other people who we've chosen to be in our support system can really help and navigate that. Here I go wandering off onto various paths. But essentially, what it's important to understand is the element of both having control of areas of our lives and surrender is really necessary. And a lot of people struggle with surrender. I've had many people say, I don't really get what it means to surrender. Well, what it means is to take responsibility here, to choose to control the elements that you can within yourself, and then to let go of having to worry about what happens after that. That's where surrender comes in. It's, I'm going to be responsible for me. I'm going to water my roots. I'm going to identify what I need to change within me. I'm going to identify my unhealthy patterns and habits and thoughts and beliefs and really begin doing the work to change there. This fly wants to hang out. And in doing that, that's the part that I control. And I'm going to surrender to accept that the outcomes are simply going to be what they're going to be. That the people around me are going to choose what they want to choose or not. They're going to do what they want to do or not. They may or may not respond to my shift in a way that I like or not. That part I can't control. But as long as I place my energy here where I can, that's all I can do. So the part that we do control is our own responsibility here, not outside of us. And too many people waste a lot of time and energy out beyond themselves. But secretly, whether people realize it or not, almost always, if not always, that is because we don't really want to pay attention to ourselves. Because it's uncomfortable to admit our own faults, our own flaws, and our own shortcomings. And I get it. And more than ever in those moments we need surrender, because it is so relieving and freeing to really let go of the need to control how things are going to work out. And I wonder what would happen if you didn't try to control everything around you and what other people did. I wonder what would happen if you just trusted that as I choose what I need to, that is best for me, things are going to work out. Let me give you a quick example of how that looks. If I choose what's honest and valuable for me, if I choose what's right for me, and other people start choosing unhealthy things, well, the reality is that maybe our connection changes. Maybe we no longer fit in the same space. What I can trust is that as I continue to choose what is good for me, what is healthy for me, that I'm going to become more and more in alignment with my highest self, or the best version of myself possible. And that if other people don't choose that, we're not going to align, and they are going to slowly fade from my world. But why is it okay to surrender to that? Well, because we're making room. Because if I allow what doesn't align with me to begin to move further away from me, that means I have more room to invite in what is attracted to my frequency, and that's other like people. Not like-minded as in everyone who agrees with me, everyone who is striving like me, we'll put it like that. Many people can have many differences of opinions but still be striving for greatness, and those are the kinds of people that I want to hang around. Nowhere inside of that is perfection. It's I want to be responsible for me and control what's mine to control, which is my behavior, my thoughts, my feelings, and my beliefs. And I need to let go of what other people are going to choose. At work, sometimes people start to feel like they're outgrowing their work. And oftentimes when people hit this fork in the road, they feel, what am I supposed to do? If I am changing and working on me and bettering me and the things around me aren't fitting anymore, well, this is where we discuss that leap of faith, if you will. But you can use science with it too. You can use science with it too. You can back up your claim to navigate into more alignment with yourself and calculate that you will invite in and have other options. As we elevate in our frequency, in other words, as I choose more peace, more joy, more gratitude, more love in my life, then certain things that don't align with that are going to feel like there's a lot of tension there. Maybe even that's happening at work. Okay, well, maybe it's time to change jobs. Yeah, but coach, you don't understand. Like, I have bills to pay. Right, you took this job because you had bills to pay. Who's to say you can't find another job? Well, nobody's going to say, well, now you're fighting to stay at a lower frequency. That's what happens. Surrender means I already know that as I become into alignment, more alignment with myself and my higher self, that things around me are going to shift. They're going to. And we don't get things to stay the same, but then again, why would you want to? Because as you get better, things that aren't fitting with you anymore, why would you want to hold on to those? Why wouldn't you want something that aligns with a higher self, a higher frequency, your highest self? So we have to be willing to surrender and let go. That's where we can't control things. That's where we say, I know that I need something better, and I'm going to call that in. I'm going to visualize having that. I am going to start taking steps to create those opportunities for myself. So hopefully you guys understand a bit about the balance between control in our life and where it does have a place. I liken it to responsibility, and surrender, and where surrender has a place. And surrender has a place in letting go of the control of outcomes. If I am doing what I need to here and I don't like the outcomes, too often we focus out here to change that instead of here. Change the control, not the variables. That's exhausting. Make the control, meaning you. if we're talking science, controls, and variables. Make the control the absolute best and refined you possibly can. And that will then shift the way that all of these variables in life sit with you. So, our meditation today is going to be on what surrender looks like, what taking responsibility and having some level of control looks like, what really identifying about whether or not we are in a state of free will or not. A lot of people don't think that. It's just assumed we all have free will. I don't think it's so black and white. Again, that's my opinion. Who am I? Just a single soul over here. But this is what I've found in my work of many, many years with many people, including myself. So today we're going to dig into that a little bit deeper. And I want to really quick, before we branch off, explain to you a little bit of what's going to change coming up here. One of the things is that these moments, these pieces, these bits of content that I'm sharing and teaching, we're going to begin separating those from the meditation. That way, for people who really maybe aren't in a space in their day to meditate, they don't necessarily have to jump right in, but that also they can just watch content. And then also for people who are looking for a meditation can have that. So bear with us here. I'll inform you all and keep you posted on how we do that, but we're going to start setting it up as 2 separate videos. This, for example, would be a teaching or a lesson or a sharing on surrender and what it means, and then it would be a meditation on surrender, and they would be 2 separate things. So just so you know, that's going to be coming. But again, since I restarted the video at the beginning, please, you can check out, we'll add it to the link where you or when we post this, we'll add it in, that if you could like and subscribe on my YouTube channel. We're discovering it's a little challenging to find right now, so we're working on adjusting that. But it's Coach Bree, and it's actually this little guy. You can see my signature on it. So that's my channel. We're working on growing that so that I can upload all of this content on there so that everybody has access to it. So we'll be doing that as well. So again, if you could like and follow on my Humble Lion Coaching on Facebook and also my Coach Bree on YouTube, I would really, really appreciate that. That said, don't forget today and every day to be fierce. So fierce. I love this term, fierce. I feel like it is such a defining expression for myself in life. Fierce love, fierce gratitude. Show up with fierce joy. Show up with a fierce invitation to elevate. Fierce everything. Create fierce love in your life with the people that you love, and be unrelenting in that. Show up fiercely at work, committed to doing what you need to do and being of integrity. Be fiercely of integrity in everything that you do. Tell the truth fiercely. Be compassionate in as fierce a way as you possibly can. And so on and so forth. So, let us dive into our meditation today. And today, we're really going to dive into surrender and what that means for us. These meditations, y'all, are structured to give us an opportunity. So when I'm sharing with you and teaching, we're in a learning state or a listening state, which hopefully means you are open and curious. This is something I teach everybody, that when you want to learn, lock yourself into being open and curious, and you will always learn something from anyone and everyone. You will always learn something. So you're listening in that state. But this meditation that I do is an opportunity for you to now detach from just watching me to really go inside. That the questions and the things that I'm prompting for you are a deeper discovery within yourself, and an even deeper opportunity to relate to the material or the guidance that you are hearing. So that's the purpose of these guided meditations, is to take you deeper into yourself. And that's why these insights that you gain are so powerful, because they are coming from your own awareness. I'm just this voice prompting you to dive deep and to travel in here, in here, in here. So that's what our meditation is. All right. So as always, open-hearted, open-handed. I hope you are too. And from our lesson yesterday, remember to sit up. Sit up tall. Open up your body. Open up your mind. Align your chakras and really invite in the willingness to learn and to expand. So we're going to take our breath and start, as always, with our breath. Deeply into the diaphragm, into the belly, deeply open and expand in the chest. The purpose of this is to begin to change your biology, to begin to reduce the stress hormones in your body so that you are more open to stillness, that you are more open to lessons, and learning and insights, and less distracted by everything going on in here and around you. So let's open our hands, let's open our hearts, let's sit up nice and tall, shoulders back, and let's breathe deeply in. 6 seconds in, expanding in your diaphragm and your chest, and then exhaling. Very good. Breathing deeply in, expand and open. And exhaling with every single breath, tuning in a little more deeply with yourself, just being here, just being present. Allow yourself this time to dive deep, to grow more aware. Be present with your breath, breathing deeply in, expanding, opening, welcoming in expansion, just the notion of breath, and doing it intentionally. For deep and long breaths is simply an act of welcoming in life and expanding. Very good. Breathe deeply in. Just be with your breath. Just be present. Appreciate this time that you're giving yourself. Remember how good it feels to slow down, or how uncomfortable it is because you don't do it enough. Both beautiful lessons. Let's take one more big, long, deep breath in, inviting the body to relax, inviting the mind to tune in. And as always, let's begin with gratitude. Are you sitting down on a bed of gratitude? Is the soil beneath you right with so much gratitude? Is everything within you filled with so much gratitude? Let's begin being thankful for what we do have, being thankful for where we are, for choosing to turn on the lenses of goodness. Very good. And let's do our body scan. Of course, as always, beginning at the top of our head, let's open up that third eye. Let's open up that crown chakra, just like you would a portal or a door. Let's open it up and invite in all of the awareness we are going to gain today, the insights that Source has for us, and that we will uncover today. And let's begin at the top of our head. Do I notice any tension, any stress, any head ache, any tight jaw? Let's just be aware of any physical pain in our body, of any physical discomfort. It's simply a teacher and an opportunity for awareness. Moving down the body into the neck and shoulders. Are we carrying any weight, extra weight on our shoulders? Are we carrying some sense of responsibility for others? Some worry about some outcome that's outside of our control, and we are wearing it like extra weight, added weight, and it is adding fatigue to us each and every day. Let's breathe deeply in and set that down for a moment. As we move down the body, really tune into your arms. Allow them to relax, to rest for a moment. And maybe just notice if they're carrying extra weight, if they're squeezing or trying to hold too tightly to something. Maybe it's something within yourself that you no longer want to keep. Are you squeezing too tightly to your fear? Are you squeezing too tightly to some sense of needing to protect yourself because love is scary? Are you squeezing others, which causes them to push away? Just relax, appreciate that surrender happens too here. There's no need to squeeze. Moving down the body, connecting into your chest, breathe deeply in, expand in your diaphragm, and your chest. Open up. As your chest opens, notice the sensations that come up for you. Does it feel good to open? Do I feel love coming in? Or do I feel restriction? Is it uncomfortable to breathe deeply and expand? What awarenesses come up for me? As we move down the body into the belly and the lower back, our core. Is our core strong? Is it asking for us to attend to it, both physically and emotionally? What is the body telling me that I need? Just become aware of the sensations that come up in your body. Don't be afraid to connect to the body. As we move down the body into the hips, into the sacral, into our root chakra, can we notice if there is any tension or tightness, any restriction or fear that we carry? Are we holding on to past pain and trauma, allowing it to continually exist in our life? As a result, are we constantly uprooted? Are we constantly pulled left and right, up and down by our emotions because of past pain? As we move down the body into the legs and to the feet, can we notice if we are carrying this vessel with responsibility? Are we moving this body? Are we stagnant in physical reality? Or are we moving because we also want our spirit to evolve and move? Breathe deeply in, becoming aware of what your body is telling you today. And as we breathe deeply in, notice, am I in command of my own free will? Am I choosing what I truly want to choose in my life? Or have I given it away? Have I given it away to compulsion, to addiction? Have I given it away to tend to emotional unwellness? Do I allow my emotions to dictate so much of my life? And are those emotions unhealthily dictating my life? Do I have dominion over my decisions because I am carefully and thoughtfully practicing stillness and awareness, and therefore aligning myself to the beliefs that make me my best, that create actions and behaviors and feelings that feel good? Do I really have free will? Have I given myself permission? Have I done the work to establish free will in my own life? Do I say I have no willpower? Have I given it away? Do I talk about having a weak will? How, if I give it away, if I give up on having dominion over that, can I really create the kind of life I truly want? How am I really operating under free will if I am held captive by my fear and by my pain? Just allow awareness to come, allow the insights to teach. Am I taking responsibility to have control of what my life looks like for me? By choosing honesty with myself in order to create change where it's needed. By choosing honesty with others around me in order to value and validate my truth. Am I putting the fingers that I've been pointing outside of myself as reasons for why I am not who I want to be down in order to take control over my beliefs and my thoughts and my feelings? So that I am responsible for the joyous and fulfilling life that I live. Can I really create a fulfilling life if I'm waiting for everyone else around me to do something or to say something? If I'm waiting for an apology from someone in my life that may never come? Can I really have control over my life, or am I handing it to somebody else? If I am waiting for other decisions to be made, if I am waiting for something to happen in order to be full, am I really in control of what is mine to be responsible for? Am I choosing to do the work inward, to be responsible for me, to be aware that the way that I see the world impacts the way that I experience the world? That if I can't see good in myself, I will also find fault in others. And if I am finding fault in others, I am living in a sad world, in a world full of not so great people. Or am I valuing myself? Am I appreciating what is good in me and doing the work on the things that I know I need to, and therefore see the goodness in others? Do I see them inside of light? Do I see them working to be better? Can I accept them right where they're at just because I too am where I am? And rejection of that will only create pain, will only create misalignment. Am I in control of self-love and acceptance so that that is what I project onto others? And therefore, the world that I live in is one of love, is one of abundance, is one of growth. Can I surrender to the outcomes that are not within my control? Can I accept and surrender to the fact that other people will always choose what they're going to choose, and that I have permission to allow that to negatively impact my life or to be a part of my learning? Can I surrender to Source, to God, to the universe? The outcomes, can I put that in the hands of the Creator and really focus on me? Can I do everything I can to be my best self and know that that will cause shift around me and deeper alignment? Can I stop trying to control the things around me and focus on controlling the thoughts and the feelings within me? Can I focus on shifting my beliefs and my values in such a way that it will create the kind of being that I feel good to be? What do I need to change so that I more deeply respect myself and therefore respect others, and therefore have no need to control what others choose? Just notice what comes up for you. Notice any resistance that comes up. Notice any sadness. Notice any joy. Observe for a moment, what do I have control of in my life that feels good? In what way am I consciously choosing something that feels good for me? This is an area where I am conscious of my control and utilizing it to create joy. And why do I choose that specifically? What do I gain from it? What does it give me to consciously choose this something that is filling? What are the thoughts that help me create that decision and choose that. And now, is there something that I am consciously or unconsciously choosing that creates restriction, that aligns with fear and a lack of trust, and therefore keeps me stuck in those thought patterns and those loops of fear? Why do I choose them? What is it that I'm afraid of? And I've become aware of the acceptance of surrender in letting go of the need to know the answers and to have control. And what do I get when I surrender? How does it help me to surrender? How do I feel better when I surrender? Can I now consciously become aware of what is mine to control within and what is not that I need to surrender? Can I consciously become aware of what is mine to control within and what is not mine outside of me to surrender? Breathe deeply in and exhale, letting go. As we breathe deeply in, open up as much as you can. Feel what it feels like to be responsible in the best way. And as you exhale, really fully surrender. Receive the gift of surrender. Breathe deeply in. Let go in total surrender. Breathe deeply in. And exhale, letting go in surrender. Last one, breathe deeply in. And exhale and surrender. Woo-wee! I am in the sun. My sun shield is no longer a shield and I am sweating. How are you? Going to adjust and move a bit here so I can get myself out of the sun. Oh yeah. All right. Let's see if that worked. Whew. It feels a little bit better in the shade for sure. All right, we're good. So how is this for you today? One thing I want to encourage is I love your comments, and whether I get to them here on our video or respond to them after, tell me what came up for you. Share. What did you notice? What insights did you gain about control and surrender in your life? Do you notice there are areas where you let go and surrender quite easily, and others where you really struggle and you want to have control? Kathy said, thank you for saying this about free will. It is a tough one to talk about, and you explained it well. I feel free will is there. It's just whether people are connected to their power enough to know they have a choice and then to be able to exercise it. Exactly. We call that integration. I know there was a time that I couldn't because of how entrenched I was. You rock for tackling these tough topics. Well, thank you, my love. That's what we do here. Tackle the tough stuff. Because you know what? That's life. Life is the tough stuff. I am an optimist, and I will admit to you that I think I used to be a bit of a naive optimist. I'm going to scoot a little more because the sun. I love the sun. I really have a special relationship, and so maybe the sun is just trying to connect with me. But these very tough issues are a part of life. My sun shield's just going to hug me. It's just what's going to happen. So these very tough issues are a part of life. And I'm saying that I used to be a bit of a naive optimist. And what I mean by that is this. I mean that I used to just say everything's great and everything's good all the time. Well, the truth is it's not. The truth is there is shit in our world and things that are tough, and that's okay. And I think it's okay to acknowledge that, because that allows us to be honest about the work that we really need to do. And I think the whole idea about us not acknowledging that really doesn't give us permission to feel what we need to feel in truth in order to navigate to that space honestly. So I do want to tackle these challenging issues. I do want us all to grow our awareness. I do want us all to look honestly and deeply within. I do want us all to create change, and I can simultaneously accept that it's not my responsibility for other people. It's my responsibility to do it for me, but not necessarily for other people, and that's okay. Trella says, I am great. For me, the way I can surrender is by being in the now. The past and the future don't serve my purpose today. Beautiful. When a thought enters, recognizing as just that, a thought, not a part of me. I love that. Really, really nice. I think that there's a lot of truth to that, Trella, and for all of us. And this is why we do things. We have a practice. And remember, it's a practice of being present. We joke and we say cool things like the present is a gift, or being present is the present. Well, they're silly to say perhaps, but they're also incredibly true. That most of our suffering is because we are living in the past or projecting fear onto something that might happen. And so I think it's important to recognize that while you are here in the present, the more we learn to be present, the less fear we have, the more surrender we do have, because we're just in the moment. My coach is one of the best at this of anyone I've ever met in my whole life. She is amazing at really just being present. When things are outside of her control, she just surrenders, and accepts it, and then leans into it on top of that, and actually seeks the good in what there is for her. For example, she's actually stuck in another country right now because she went over there as this whole thing in our world started happening, and now there are no international flights. And she's just like, it's good, I'm okay. She gets to be there with her parents and is enjoying her family and just appreciating the time. And it's so beautiful that not being able to be home could be really stressful for her, or work, or all of these things. And she is just deep inside of gratitude and seeing the goodness in it. And that's surrender to me. I love it. Sandy says, that was so amazing. Hi from Katie Girl. Wonderful, wonderful. I love that. And yeah, The Power of Now. Great read, Trella. Eckhart Tolle can be really hard for some people to read. He's a really, really deep thinker. I really appreciate his teachings, though. Another one that I really love, just in general, is pretty much anything by Brene Brown. She's fantastic. Or really, really looking at Tim Ferriss is great, just to throw out some references who are fantastic. And I happen to really love personally Dr. Peterson, Jordan Peterson. So just a few things for you all. I hope you all have a really, really beautiful day. If you are watching this, definitely share. I'd love to hear about your experience through your meditation, about what comes up for you in your awareness around your ability or lack thereof to really focus on controlling this here, which is you, and surrendering to what isn't in your control. So I hope you have an amazing day today. Thank you for being here with me. I love you all so very much. And as always, know your worth.